Hello, everybody. Welcome to Endless Midnight Genesis. I am James Baxter. I'm here with the incomparable Aldon Eberhart,
Hello.
who is here for his session 1 of Genesis. And I said, let's go live because Aldon was just talking about...
Trying to figure out who this guy is once I get into his skin. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this, where we had a session
Yeah.
1 with each individual player. Because by the time you all come together, you're going to have a real idea who your characters are.
Yeah.
You're going to have a little backstory that happened in game, you know? I don't know, just trying something new.
Yeah, I like it.
On that note, we haven't been doing any exposition.
Okay.
This is all show, not tell.
Okay.
If you
Got
if you are watching us and you're like, well, what is this region of Scythia like? Well, you can go listen to Endless Midnight, you know? We're not here to spoon feed you. We're not going to treat you like a baby. You're an adult. And you can find this stuff out on your own, right, Alden? That's right.
I feel like things are a little different now, though. Like this, I don't know this portion of Scythia the way that those people in Endless Midnight know Scythia. Scythia is different. So I'm learning right along with you. So come on this journey with me.
Uh, Kramer is in the chat, and she said the hotel Wi-Fi is not being kind. And I will mention that I'm in a hotel right now.
Oh no.
But I am recording the Zoom session, and this will all be available as a podcast sometime in the near future. So you'll get a clean version there.
Real professional.
But if you're watching on Twitch, then good for you, because you get to hear it first, right?
And just a little jerky, a little wonky.
Yeah, a little jittery, a little yeah. That's okay. It'll probably come and go too.
Yeah.
I've heard that Wi-Fi isn't just about the download speed; it's about the upload speed.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We're figuring that out right now.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what happens to the stream. Aldon and I are going to keep going because the podcast is going to come later. Mm-hmm. So, Aldon, why don't you tell us about your character a little bit?
Trevalyn Barbeau. Trevalyn Barbeau's a young, rich, and well-to-do man going to extra courses after his whatever the Scythian equivalent of high school is. He's done well. He's a real Renaissance man, if there were such a thing. He hasn't ever focused on one area too long because he's flitting about, really, just really enjoying life. And he's got a lot of extracurricular activities, music, theater. But of course, in order to make Mama and Pa proud, you must do the debate, and then of course politics. Politics are, of course, the bread and butter of Scythian society. One is part of the ruling elite. One will remain there. Yeah.
So what does he look like?
Oh, Trevalyn. Well, James, I don't have a great imagination like all of my friends. So, he's got a goatee and he wears high Scythian fashion. That's going to be the hardest part of that cosplay. And then, he's got a little monocle. I have to do it to my face someday, but that's all for the craft. And he enjoys wearing fine clothes, fine wines, meeting new interesting people, and his pursuit of power has gotten him involved with some extracurricular activities that are apparently he's helping out a very famous ambassador, and he didn't quite pay attention to all of the details, but he's very excited to meet this man and become his aide-de-camp, so to say.
Okay. So, Trevalyn Barbeau. You are a man of high breeding, yes?
Indeed, of course.
Yeah. Okay. You are a man of high education?
I have. I struggle in classes, but I have been to the classes, of course. But
yeah.
one must not let school get in the way of the learned teachings of life. But yes, I do keep a C average, or my mom and papa will cut me off.
Well, on this particular Scythia morning, you find yourself in a train car. That's where our story begins, in a train car. You are dressed impeccably because today is a very important day. You are the assistant to the ambassador of Fiskar, whose name is Basil.
So, of course. Wonderful name.
And Basil is a complete asshole. She would never admit that.
Oh, okay, good.
So, Scythia has a series of underground tunnels that used to connect city to city with trains that ran underground. But with the invention of the teleportation circle several years ago, you get on the train and they have attendants, right? But the trip only takes seconds as opposed to hours.
Of course it does, yes.
So they go through the whole rigmarole of loading you on the train, bringing you drinks, possibly serving breakfast, and then you're where you're supposed to be.
Of course.
So that's where you are. You're being loaded onto the train.
Wonderful.
Of course, Basil gets to go on first, and you are with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the attendants they offer you mimosas. Would you like a mimosa?
Does Basil order a mimosa?
He does not.
No, then I suppose I will abstain from the mimosa for now.
Basil sits in an extra large overstuffed seat, and he opens a newspaper. And on the front page, you can see where it says, "Where's Micah?" And there's a stock picture of Micah, who is a dragon,
Oh, yes. But
on the front page.
But he's very well dressed in human form, correct?
No, it's a picture of a dragon.
It's him and dragon.
Micah as a dragon.
Okay.
Now, I suppose we have to have a little bit of a lore dump. So the dragons, until the humanoids took over. And it was more like, they didn't exactly take over. It was more like the dragons got tired of it, constantly fighting back. So they let the humanoids do their thing. But with the caveat that if they ever waged war again, the dragons would step in. So since then, 50 years ago was the last big war. Since then, humanity has tried to sidestep actual warfare.
Of course. Bad for business.
Because they're afraid of the dragons.
Oh, also that.
Okay, so lately there has been a conflict between Fiskar and Barras. There is a small area of disputed territory in between them, right on the border of Fiskar and Barras. And the conflict has escalated to a point where you're starting to wonder if the dragons are getting involved. That is what the tabloid picture is about. Where is Micah?
Oh.
And in fact, today, you are attending Basil as you go to the Dragon's Tooth, which is a place that was built after the last war. It is it's kind of like a giant cake plate. There's a pedestal that's 100 feet tall and a big round disc on top of it made of stone. And it is a place where the humans can talk to the dragons. And you and Basil have been summoned there to speak for Fiskar.
Yeah. All right. I have questions for Basil if he can get his nose out of that newspaper.
His nose is firmly in the newspaper. You're going to have to.
Excuse me. Would you like a drink or something? Hello, Basil. How are you?
The attendants will get that.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fine. I was just wondering, when we go there, will there also be representatives from Veras?
Presumably.
Hmm. What exactly is our game plan, if I am to help you in some way?
Our game plan.
Yes. What are we going to say to them?
Well, I imagine that they're going to say, oh, this conflict between Fiskar and Barras is. They're not going to like it.
No, no, I imagine not.
You know, why don't you sit down?
I think
Have a seat across from me.
yeah, thank you. Okay, okay, yes, thank you.
You've worked really hard here.
I have, thank you.
You've shown yourself out
Mm-hmm.
when asked. Um, Perhaps it's time to bring you a little closer in to the real workings of Fiskar.
Oh, yes, yes, please.
So we're going to go meet the dragons,
Mm-hmm.
and they are going to ask us to explain ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we will. You see, we have an ace in the hole.
Oh,
Barras doesn't know about it. The dragons don't know about it. And this ace in the hole is going to give us the upper hand.
so we merely need to promise the dragons peace until this ace can be utilized?
Not exactly.
Okay.
The dragons aren't so easily quelled.
Mm.
We're going to have to intimidate them.
Okay. I'm looking at the picture of the dragon on the front of the tabloid. Right.
They're just as mortal as you or I.
Oh, well, okay, that's good to know.
They can be killed like anyone else. And when I reveal, well, let's just say they're going to be impressed.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is going to be a monumentous occasion. I am happy to be a present for.
Yes. Yes.
The ascendancy of Fiskar.
At that moment, Basil looks up and one of the attendants is walking by. Excuse me, how long until we move? And the attendant looks down and goes, sir, we're already there. Oh, excellent. He gets up, folds his newspaper, he sticks it under his arm, and he begins walking towards the exit.
Excellent. Stand up.
And although you didn't feel any movement, you're in a different place.
That is stupendous. I don't want to look like a yokel, but that was my first time teleporting.
The sun is at about the same spot. You didn't move that far, maybe 100 miles. But as you leave the train, there's an escalator that goes up. And it exits into a train station. Sunlight pouring in through the windows and the doors. And as you exit the station, in front of you can see the dragon's tooth. And it looks very impressive from the ground. It does look like a giant cake plate. Made out of stone. From here, you were to the west of it. So from here, you can see the western dragon made out of stone that sits on the western side disc of the cake plate. That at each point, east, west, north, and south, there is a statue of a dragon built into it. And there's a walkway that goes to an elevator that's built into the side. And Basil is walking that way. He walks with the... he walks arrogantly, I'm sure you can imagine what that looks like.
I adopt the same arrogant air as I
Okay.
follow him.
He's a little bit taller than most of the people around you. He's not
Mhm.
like extremely tall, but he's a little bit taller than most of the people around. He's used to getting attention, commanding an audience, and he walks off towards the elevator without another word to anybody.
I follow him.
Okay. So you get to the base of the elevator, and it's obviously only been added in the last couple of years. There's a metal cage and a track that goes up the side of the dragon's tooth. And before anybody else can get on, Basil walks on. And there's a small retainer. There's 6 or 7 people. You know them. Most of them are people that take records.
Hello. Yes,
Or
good to see you.
they're minions.
Oh, yes. Of course.
Okay.
It's always good to be liked by the minions.
Yeah, they're able to get the coffee and make the copies and stuff like that.
Oh, excellent.
So you get onto the elevator and it goes up. It's surprisingly smooth. It doesn't shake too much as it gets going. And when it gets to the top, it lets you out onto this huge stone dais that's 100 feet in diameter. This gigantic disc that's poised on the top of the dragon's tooth. Perhaps you imagine a little bit of movement to pivot on top, but it's not actually doing that.
It doesn't, yeah.
But you might imagine that as you stand onto it.
Yeah.
When you get there, onto the dais, on the other side, you see 3 people. One of them is a dwarf. And the other 2 are, it's hard to tell from this distance. You can tell that one is a dwarf, but the other 2 are human-sized.
2 more humanoids. I shall clock them. I will clock them.
You still have the sun in your face as well.
Yes.
Basil strides out towards the center.
I follow.
Okay. As it gets towards the middle, the people on the other side walk towards you as well. And the dwarf is in the front. Now, you know that Barras is basically ruled by dwarves.
So this is the Dwarven ambassador? Ambassador Basil?
It appears that General Reinhardt has joined us. I was hoping that wouldn't happen.
They sent a general
But
to an ambassador's meeting?
these Barasians, they're always the military ranks. Their military ranks are the most important thing to them.
So crass that will not make the dragons happy.
And in fact, as you get closer, you can see that they are all wearing military uniforms. So when you get within 20 feet of each other, they both stop. And the dwarf looks up at Basil. Well, what are you doing here? Do you think you have anything to say? Here and now. Well, I think I have a lot of things to say. But I'll wait until the dragons get here.
Not bandy words with the likes of you.
General Reinhardt. He's got this look on his face like he's just he just fucking hates this guy. You can tell. He fucking hates him.
That merely lowers my opinion of the man or the dwarf. Excuse me.
Like the look on his face, just sheer, just hatred. Like you can tell he hates everything about him. He hates
Oh,
his stature,
mhm,
his arrogance,
mhm.
everything about him.
Yes, yes. The common often envy those that are wondrous like ourselves.
Then a shadow passes over the disc that you're standing on. It circles around. And you see two shapes against the sky. Two large dragon shaped shapes. They circle around a few times, like vultures circling a dead body in the road.
Okay, great. Oh, what a comfortable analogy you have given me, James.
They circle two, three times, and then they come to a light with a large plume of dust in front of you. The first one that comes down is a white dragon. You recognize this one from his tabloid pictures as Micah. Behind him, 30, 40 feet behind him, lands a much bigger dragon. It's black. Lands in a superhero stance for dragon. And then rears up to make itself as big as possible and stretches its wings out. And then sits down on its front feet and starts looking around. Micah speaks first. Well, I see we got Fiskar and Barros here. I hope we can come to some sort of agreement this time. The black dragon behind him says nothing, but her gaze crosses over everyone there, marking each one in her memory. She lingers on you.
Give her a slight bow.
And she moves on to the next. Why don't y'all come a little closer? You know, let's have a friendly conference here, shall we? What was your name again? And he points at you.
Oh, hello, Trevalyn Barbeau, at your service, Micah.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember meeting you. And then Basil speaks. Oh, I am the ambassador to Fiskar. This is merely my
Aide de camp.
servant.
Yeah, yes.
I will be the one you're speaking. I represent Fiskar. Oh, okay, if you say so. General Reinhardt, would you like to step forward? He remembers his name.
Oh, wow.
Would you like to step
Okay.
forward?
Snubbed.
And everyone comes a little closer.
Mhm.
Now, this thing y'all got going down in the plains. What's that all about? Because last I remember, we decided that there wasn't going to be any more warfare between humanoids, Traskosk. And now here y'all are, all over again. It's only been 50 years. They're already at each other's throats. Well, you see, there is a disputed territory between us. Yeah, I know all that. But why y'all gotta do all this fussing and fighting?
I would take a step forward and be like, well, as you can see,